Good morning, folks. We will get started with the webinar in just a couple of minutes. It looks like we still have some attendees trickling in. So just kick back and relax, and we'll get started shortly. Thanks. We're going to give it just another minute or so before starting. Thank you for your patience. All right, looks like we have most everyone in here now, and the trickling in has slowed down a bit. So we'll go ahead and get started. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Arlington Transportation Partners webinar. My name is Mark Bacumio, a business development manager here with ATP, and I will be your host today. So last week, the Washington Metropolitan Area Transit Authority launched the new Metrobus network redesign called the Better Bus Network. Today, we will be discussing those changes and the details surrounding it. I will be joined today by Reem Raif, a government relations project manager with WMATA or WMATA. Now, in case you are unfamiliar with GoToWebinar, all of our attendees are muted by default. Now, if you have any questions, please type them directly into the questions section of your GoToWebinar dashboard. It should have popped up on the side somewhere. It may be in your taskbar if you don't see it. We'll address the questions that come up during the presentation during a Q&A section towards the end. You can expect today's webinar to be about 30 minutes or so, not including that time for questions. So if there are a lot, it may go a little bit longer. Additionally, this presentation is going to be recorded and posted on our monthly newsletter, as well as our website, so you may revisit the recording as you like and share it with any others who may find it useful. So with those housekeeping items out of the way, we'll go ahead and get started. And I'd like to begin by introducing you to today's guest speaker, Reem. So as I mentioned, Reem is a project manager in the Government Relations Office at the Washington Metropolitan Area Transit Authority. She primarily works with elected officials and jurisdictional partners to make the region a great place to ride public transportation. So prior to joining WMATA in the fall of 2024, Reem worked in labor and climate advocacy at the Blue Green Alliance. She lives in Washington, D.C., and is an avid cyclist. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Reem. If you're able to come off of mute now, Reem.
Yeah, hey Mark, thank you for that welcome, and hi everyone. Thank you for joining to learn about the Better Bus Network redesign. I'm really excited to be here. This is actually my first briefing. I was just saying to Mark about the new bus network since its launch on June 29th. So I'm really excited to be here to kind of report on how it's going. Although so much of the reason why I'm here today is to say, you know, hey, this is underway, and we still need help getting the word out, and to ask for your help as kind of transit activists and supporters, to let folks know that changes have come to the buses in the region, and you may have some new routes that will get you to where you need to go, and there's ways to learn about how to navigate it. So I can take the next slide, Mark. So today I'm hoping to back up and share some kind of contextual information about the new bus network. You know, what is it? Why now? And how did we make the new bus network? Then I want to ask for some help to spread the word about the new network and how you yourselves can learn more about the changes to the bus network. And then, as Mark said, we'll do a Q&A. So please feel free to drop those in the chat as well. I'll take the next slide. So what is the Better Bus Network redesign? The Better Bus Network represents Metro's commitment to improving service and connections in the region using the resources that we have today. So this was a revenue neutral, complete overhaul of our existing bus network, which hasn't happened in about 50 years. So since the 1970s, obviously we've made changes to the bus network and to service, but it's largely been about the same for the past 50 years. And of course, the region has changed in the last 50 years. People live in different places, people work in different places, people travel at different times. New developments have cropped up, which have meant that we need a transit system that matches these new travel patterns. And so the new bus network was a big effort to meet the region's current travel needs with a modern bus network. And this new network went into effect about 9 days ago at this point, last Sunday, and it has been operational since. So some of the attributes of the new network are here on the left. This is, again, the first network redesigned in 50 years, so it's meant to really modernize our network to the region's needs today. It is revenue neutral, which means that we didn't have any additional operations money to run this network. So it had to use the same amount of dollars that we have always had to improve service across the region. It makes the bus more convenient to use in ways that I'll describe in a little bit. It specifically improves service on evenings and weekends, which is a big demand that we heard from our customers. It fills service gaps, and we're optimistic that the outcome is better service for our customers today. And on the right of the slide, you can see what our new bus flags look like, which refer to the new network and say, hey, if you took the 33 or the 36 or the G8 or the 11Y, here are the names of the new routes and where they go. And I'll walk through more of this sign in just a bit as well. Next slide, please. So I mentioned on the previous slide that the new network provides more service with the same amount of resources. So what does that mean? 7% more resources, 7% more bus service basically means that we are extending the reach of our network for more people with the same amount of buses, the same amount of bus operators, and the same amount, again, of operations money. So that is due to a couple of things. We have 3% fewer bus vehicle miles operated due to a substantial reduction in the amount of travel to and from bus routes. So buses are spending less time getting to and from the beginning of their routes, and that's an inefficiency that we minimized in the new network. We've also reduced the number of vehicles that we need for our peak operations, so we have a more efficient fleet. We've improved access to more key destinations. This is how we have grown the kind of level of bus service, by making better connections to hospitals, to grocery stores, to entertainment, lots of additional connections to new housing developments, and basically big areas where we know people are trying to travel, such as the Wharf in DC. And this could attract nearly 13,000 more daily weekday trips, because buses are going to where people need them to go. Next slide, please. Our main message to our customers is that your route has changed on June 29th. Yes, even yours. No matter where you are, your route has changed in some way, shape, or form. That is because all of the routes have new route names. Many of the routes have changed their specific alignment, their hours of operation, and their frequency. And many of our routes have also had some bus stops added, some bus stops eliminated, and some bus stops have moved. So it's a lot of changes, but with all of these changes, we have the resources available online to help people understand how they're going to make their trips. And while it can feel really overwhelming to look at a big map of the regional bus network, that's not what you need to learn. You just need to learn your trips one trip at a time. So let's take the next slide. When I say that the bus network is easier to navigate and easier to use, our new naming conventions are a really big part of that. And our bus planners did this by embedding meaning within the new route names. So the first letter of each route has meaning. Routes that begin with A are routes that operate primarily in Arlington and Alexandria. Routes beginning with F are routes that operate primarily in Fairfax and Falls Church, although as we'll talk about a little bit later, they do run through other areas. They do run through Arlington, for example, but operate primarily and serve primarily Fairfax and Falls Church. In DC, because there are so many routes in DC, the routes that primarily serve downtown begin with a D, and routes that are primarily crosstown begin with a C, so kind of traveling east-west. And then same in Virginia, we have M for routes that primarily serve Montgomery County, and P for routes that primarily serve Prince George's County. So that explains the first character of each route. The second character refers to a corridor or a neighborhood. So if you have a 4 in the second corridor, if your route is A4 blank, the corridors that have, or routes that have the same first two characters are primarily going to serve the same area. So it might be useful for you to know that, oh, the D40 and the D4X, for example, those will take me to the same place or primarily serve the same area. So when you see that second character is the same, or the first two characters are the same, then you can learn that these two routes serve the same area. And then finally, if there's an X at the end of the route name, then that means it's a limited stop route, and it won't stop at every stop, but it'll travel more quickly through the corridor because it'll skip over some stops. So it's a good way to get from beginning of a route to end of a route quickly if it ends in an X. And otherwise, it's just a differentiating number, so D42 or so on. We also have a little icon that indicates routes that operate 24/7 or nearly 24/7. So those will be the late night routes. And then as you'll also see on every sign, we now indicate underneath the route name the terminus of that route. And this is a really good way for you to know, am I on the northbound side? Am I on the southbound side? Am I standing at the right place, basically, when I'm waiting for my bus? And so this was another big piece of feedback that we heard from our customers, is that this was one way that we can help them navigate the bus network a little bit more easily. I'll take the next slide, please. So while our bus planners certainly did use ridership data and trip information to learn about how to make the new network, it certainly wasn't just built in kind of a closed room at Metro. It was built on 2 years of planning and 23 weeks of public engagement, where we had folks on our community relations team and our planning team out in the world in our system, riding the bus and standing at bus stops and running workshops to hear from our customers about how the bus network was or was not serving them. So this was a really, really important part of making sure that these changes are actually changes that will improve transit for the region, was just by asking people if we change the route in this way, does this make your life easier or does it make your life harder? And we had public engagement in several different rounds where we showed folks maps and asked them to mark them up. We had online surveys and we did lots of in-person interaction, basically to make sure that we were doing our homework and hearing back from people about our proposed changes and what they would mean for them. We'll take the next slide, please. And as I mentioned, we're now 1 week in. So while it's really hard to tell, you know, it takes a long time for a bus network to really settle in and to evaluate the performance of a network. But what we can say is that we've had people out in the system, again, talking with customers and helping them make their trips. And we've had a lot of awareness that the changes were coming. Very few people were caught by surprise by the new bus network. And some of the stats for our performance are here on the left. We had a 400% increase in call center volume of just people calling 202 Go Metro and saying, hey, am I on the right bus or am I standing at the right place? So that is expected. About 20% of those were complaints, people saying, hey, you moved my stop and I'm not happy about it. Less than 2% of our trips were missed, which is great. Missed by our buses and our bus operators. We had 96% prediction availability, which basically means when you go into your app, were you able to see in real time where your bus was and what time it was coming. So for 96% of our trips, that prediction information was available. We had 86 bus flags corrected in our first week in. This was reported by customers and reported by Metro staff riding the system and saying, hey, actually this bus flag wasn't updated. We have thousands of flags throughout the region, so this is a really small percentage, but we've been correcting them as they come. We had only 2 complaints from elected officials, which is fantastic. It means that I've been doing my homework. And all of that, what happened within over 100 post-launch bus stop chats. So it's not like we implemented this network and let people fend for themselves, but since launch day on June 29th, we've also had Metro staff standing at bus stops and riding on the buses, riding in the system, and helping people make their trips and navigate the new network. So this is a big way that we are trying to show up for the region and say, hey, we're holding your hand as we're making this difficult transition. All of this is to say that the new network launch was a real success, and the challenges that we are facing, such as the kind of increased call center volume, the flags that need correcting, these are challenges that we expected and are working on addressing. So we'll take the next slide, please. So with all of that being said, there's still a lot that you can learn about the new network if you haven't taken your first ride on the bus yet. We have a lot of resources that are available online to help you understand how to make your first trips. You can always plan your trip using the trip planner at wamada.com/trip planner. You can use our new MetroPulse app, which allows you to plan your trips as well as see real-time bus and rail data. You can always use 202 Go Metro to talk with someone about making your trip, or there's always the third-party apps as well. But again, we're really encouraging folks to learn the network on a trip-by-trip basis. Don't try and memorize a map, but figure it out trip by trip. We also have a route crosswalk tool. That's the second piece on this slide, which allows you to enter your route under the old network, and the tool will provide the new network route name and give you a route profile that really shows you kind of a line on a map of where does this new route go, where does it stop, what are the hours of operation, how frequently does it run, and you can see a full stop list, which was something that that a lot of folks were asking for, is wanting to see a full list of stops. So route profiles are super useful, and those are available online. You can also learn about changes in your neighborhood. You can kind of see a kind of neighborhood level map that provides kind of a summary of the changes that occurred near you, as well as a side-by-side kind of old route, new route, old route, new route, old network, new network table that really kind of lays out the changes that have happened in terms of areas that you have access to, and new connections that might be available to you. Next slide, please. We also have online full network maps for people who want to see the full regional network for DC and Maryland and Virginia. We have a project fact sheets that tell a little bit of the story about how we arrived at the network and how we expect it to improve mobility in the region. We have an FAQ document that I think is actually super useful for this audience in particular, because it answers questions like, why did Metro do this, and why did my stop go away? A lot of those kind of why questions are answered on the FAQ and are a super useful resource. And then finally, we also have a printer-friendly timetable site. Basically, you can get your old-fashioned kind of timetables if you really just want to know how frequently is this route coming to my stop. You can get that printed and have something to have physically and fold up in your pocket or put on your fridge, so that you can really have kind of information about your most frequented stops and routes. Next slide, please. But really, the most important thing is, again, to just plan your trips on a trip-by-trip basis and learn the network on a trip-by-trip basis. And there's a lot of ways that you can do that. We're really trying to urge folks to check out the new Metro Pulse app, which again allows you to plan your trips and see real-time bus and rail information. And something that is a really exciting feature is that you can do a live chat with a Metro representative to say, hey, where's my bus? Or am I standing at the right place? Ask them any questions that you might have. So that's a really useful app that I've been using myself for the past week or so to learn the new network. But again, if you're on a desktop and want to use the trip planner, that is there as well. And if you are accustomed to using Google Maps or the Transit app or Apple Maps or Waze, those also have ingested information about our new network and are available to use. We'll take the next slide. In addition to the online resources that I've just described, we also have printed materials that you've probably seen flying around the region, hopefully at this point. Starting on the left, we have route handouts, and this is a version of the route profiles that I described on 2 slides ago. Basically, just a map of each individual route, how frequently it runs, and what are the hours of operation. And these are kind of trifold sheets that are folded up, and they are on our buses as well as at kind of various transit centers across the region. You'll see our network maps printed out and available at our bus bays and at any of the larger bus shelters. At our Metro stops and at bus bays, we also had A-frame signs indicating to people who were taking the bus every day that, hey, you know, heads up, if you're standing here, your bus route is going to be changing. We also have take ones, which is all the way on the right. This is kind of the Bible of a better bus network printed down into a half sheet of paper, and it includes a QR code that directs customers to amada.com/betterbus, as well as other information about the new bus network and where they can learn more. These take ones are translated into many languages that are spoken in the region, so we really prioritized accessibility for this resource. And this has been really widely distributed kind of by staff and by our partners. I'll take the next slide, please. So in addition to handing out physical resources, directing people to our online resources, we have also been meeting our bus riders where they are. These calendars, I do not expect you to be able to read because the text is so small, but it's just meant to indicate that we have been standing at bus stops and riding on the buses and popping up at laundromats and senior centers and farmers markets, just meeting people where they are to let them know in June that changes were coming, and now that changes have arrived to the bus network, and we're here to help you if you need help navigating the new network. So you may have seen folks in red polos or in blue shirts standing at your bus stops and at transit stations, sharing information, passing out those take ones to let people know about the new bus network. Hopefully you have, because we have been all over the region for the past month or so, and we'll continue to be out. Actually, today is the last day of our bus stop chats, but we'll continue to be out in the region throughout the summer. I'll take the next slide, please. Thank you. So we are also asking folks to help us really spread the word beyond our own, social media channels, beyond our own newsletters. It has been really, really useful to have the partnership of other folks who are using their own platforms to share information about the new network. So we have a communications toolkit online at wamata.com/betterbuscomms, and this toolkit includes newsletter copy and social media copy that you can basically lift to speak about the new network with accuracy and in your own voice. And this communications toolkit has been updated for the post-launch period. Now that the new network is out, we have tweets that you can use to say, hey, have you noticed that bus routes have changed, and here's where you can learn more at wamata.com/betterbus. We also have talking points that we've been sharing with folks, language that you can use for your community meetings or for meetings at your organizations, or just for sharing information with colleagues. All of that information is within the communications toolkit, and again, really allows us to extend our reach beyond the people who follow us on X and Blue Sky and Instagram and so on. I'll take the next slide, please. Something that you can also do on social media that would be really helpful for getting the word out is to highlight some new connections that might be useful for you, or new routes that serve your office or your home that people might not have been aware of. I think people saw the signage that said, hey, this bus stop is going away, and many interpreted that to mean, oh, I don't have bus service anymore, and oftentimes that's just not the case. So we have really been working to highlight the new connections that are available now throughout the region. Some of them are listed here, but there's lots more. And on the next slide, please, you can also highlight some routes that aren't changing. I know there's a lot of routes that were super well trafficked and frequently ridden, and these are routes that we haven't changed and just got new names. And so letting people know, like, hey, that route that you took all the time and relied upon, hasn't been eliminated, it's just gotten a new name. So highlighting that is useful as well. I'll take the next slide. So in the weeks ahead, as I mentioned, we are not done working here. We are prioritizing three main things. We are taking down any old bus flags that remain, especially for bus stops that we eliminated or moved or consolidated. We are working on taking down those old bus flags and working with our jurisdictional partners to remove any bus infrastructure that was there as well. So if there's like a bus shelter or a bench or something at a bus stop that has been moved, we are working with our partners to make sure that infrastructure also moves to a different place, maybe where there now is a bus stop. We've also been working on correcting signage at transfer areas and bus bays to make sure that, at big transfer areas, places where there's lots of buses going in and out, that people know where to be standing for their new bus routes. And then over the course of the summer, we are also going to be focusing on back to school outreach. We know that many students in the region are going to be taking the bus for the first time in August, and may have missed the communications and outreach that we've been doing for the past month or so. So we'll be doing another really big push to make sure that we're getting the word out in August, and capture folks who are returning to school for the first time and getting on our buses for the first time at the end of the summer. We'll take the next slide, please. So in summary, there's a couple of easy ways that you can support the new network today. You can learn about the new network yourself. You can use our comms toolkit to share information about the new network with your communities and your followers. And you can check out our new network FAQ to answer your own questions, perhaps, or to get smart about the changes that have already been put in place. And my contact information is here, as well as that of my colleague Greg Potts, who covers Virginia in our government relations office. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Reem, for all of the fantastic information that you have shared. Don't hop off yet, folks. We do have a couple more slides following this one, but we will field a few of the questions that have come in. And just as a reminder, use the questions tab of your GoToWebinar dashboard if you'd like to ask anything. But to get started, so here's a question. Can we expect more frequent updates to Metro bus routes moving forward? I guess this is in reference to how the last major redesign was 50 years ago. So yeah, can we expect more frequent updates to these routes?
Yeah, so updates happen to our bus network actually on a biannual basis, twice a year, not every 2 years. Although quietly and with much less fanfare. And these adjustments happen just according to what we're hearing from the public and according to our bus's performance. So if we see a bus is constantly getting stuck at an intersection and is consistently late, then our bus planners will take that into consideration and see if there's another alignment that makes more sense. If we're hearing from customers that a new bus stop is really needed at the senior center, we'll consider putting that in place, and that feedback can happen in a couple of different ways. Customers can provide us feedback at wamata.custhelp.com, and I can share that in a follow-up email, or they can call 202 Metro and say, hey, I have a complaint or a concern. So we're taking feedback all the time from customers about the changes that are desired and the changes that are needed, and those kind of regular checks and reviews of the network will continue to occur.
Okay, fantastic, thank you. Another question, are there more buses now?
Same number of buses in our system. Again, this was I should say resource neutral, not even just revenue neutral, but resource neutral. We have the same number of buses, the same number of bus operators, and the same amount of operating funding. So no additional buses, but additional service, which is really the magic of the new network.
Okay, fantastic. And this question, a couple of questions actually about the printed resources, the printed brochures for specific routes. So you mentioned that these are available, but could you reiterate where one could get them?
Yeah, so a lot of those, the route handouts, those trifold handouts with information about where the buses go, those can be found on the buses themselves and at kind of major transit centers. You can find them at some of our stations. If you have a better bus partner location near you, these are kind of organizations and offices that have really partnered with Metro to share information about the new network. They'll have like little window cling signs on their storefronts. We have supplied them with printouts of the route handouts. Or if you want them for yourself, you can print them online. And if you want a bunch, then please feel free to contact me. if you want them, for example, for your organization or for your customers, please feel free to contact me, and we can work with our print shop to get them delivered to you.
That's actually a great segue into the next question. So a lot of our attendees here have worked with ATP in some capacity to have some of these, mail or paper brochures mailed to their location, whether they be an employer or property. Do you know if that is currently available? Could, for example, an external organization put in that order for additional paper copies of the brochures?
For sure, yes. Please reach out to me, and we'll figure out what exactly would be most useful for you, and how many you need, and in what language, and we can talk about getting that delivered to you.
Okay, fantastic. And then just one more question for now, and that is, you had mentioned the WMATA trip planning tool / app. For those that don't have that app, or for whatever reason don't want to get that app, was there a tool or alternate resource that you suggested using the most? I mean, I know you mentioned like Google Maps and Waze. Was there one that you think, I suppose, works better than the others?
I mean, MetroPulse is going to be the best information because it is coming directly from us. I'm partial to the transit app, but yeah, I haven't tried all of the third-party apps, but I think use whatever works best for you. We have worked closely with Google and with Apple and all of them to make sure that they have accurate information. So none of them is inherently better than the other. It's whatever really works best for you.
Okay, thank you very much. Get the main app, everyone. So we are going to move on in the presentation now. We'll take a couple more questions at the end if there are any. So please, feel free to continue asking them just as you have been. But all right, let's move on. So let's segue a little bit now into how ATP can support your properties and employers with the Better Bus Network, how we can help navigate some of these changes and get the information out. So we had already discussed the WMATA tool for trip planning, but we also on the ATP side have our commute planners. These ones are handcrafted by an ATP representative, and they are available both online and in person at ATP events. The photo on the side is an example of the physical version of this. So transparently, the commute planner will cover much more than just the Better Bus Network. For example, we will include Metro Rail as well, any other bus systems that are applicable to the route you are trying to travel or where you're trying to go, as well as alternate commute modes as well, such as Capital Bike Share, and if there is any elements of walking or any other mixed use option available to you. So it won't just be one option, there will be multiple options provided. Again, this is handcrafted by an ATP representative, and also it will give you a good comparison for things like duration and cost. So if you have any, again, residents, tenants, employees who feel like their commute has got shaken up a little bit, then consider having them fill out a commute planner. We will offer up any new Metrobus routes that will service their commute, but also, again, offer those other options. And then also wanted to talk a little bit more about ATP events. It is summer, the weather is maybe a little hot, but it is peak commuting weather. So we can create some tailored events to best support your, once again, employees, tenants, and residents. An event with ATP can be anything from a tabling event in a lobby of a building or in your office, to coming to your benefits fairs. Happy to do formal presentations / seminars on any given topic, or even be a guest speaker at something like a staff meeting, an all hands, a tenant roundtable, anything along those lines. ATP is familiar with all of these types of events and are happy to tailor the information for you all. And much like all of ATP's services, scheduling an event with us is completely free to you all. It's complimentary. We just want to make sure that your people have all the information that they have to become better commuters. And for those of you who are involved with the Champions program, an event with ATP does offer up silver level credit. So, you know, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and get scheduled with your ATP rep. All you have to do is reach out to the ATP representative who works with you. So those are just two little services that I wanted to call out for you all today. But otherwise, if there are any more questions, I will take a look now. It looks like no new questions have come in at this time. So with that, the webinar has concluded. We will hang around for just a couple more minutes to see if there are any last minute questions, lingering questions. But if you have none, then you are free to leave. So thank you so much for attending. We hope you learned something new. And we hope that you are able to spread the word regarding the Better Bus Network to your employees, tenants, and residents so that we can all get up on the same page, you know, sooner rather than later. So Reem, was there anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, actually, I can't believe I forgot to put this on the slide, but the really one thing that you can do is, I know we have many business owners and development owners on the call. If you have on your website any reference to old Metro bus routes, please make sure that you are changing that. I know a lot of people are saying, you know, we are Metro accessible and you can, you know, ride the 2A to get to us. Please just do a quick check and make sure that there's no old information on your sites and that you've checked out wamata.com/betterbus to see what new routes serve your business or your organization or your office.
Thank you. And it looks like it's a good thing you mentioned that, because a question did just come in regarding messaging. Do you or WMATA have marketing materials that can be sent out to employees, whether via email or physical handouts?
Yeah, the best place to go is to the comms toolkit. There's newsletter language that you can use that sounds like it would be appropriate for that use, to say, hey, changes have come to the bus network. Make sure you know how to navigate the new network. So that's at wamata.com/betterbuscomms.
Fantastic. Let's see. Will someone at WMATA, are they able to come on site to further discuss these bus changes?
We can, depending on the event. To be honest, we have pretty limited capacity, and we're hopeful that that folks will, you know, take the resources that are available and carry them forward. But if you've got a big event, that would be where it would be useful for us to get in front of some folks, then would be happy to chat about it. But please send me an email and we can talk about what makes most sense.
Great. And I'll put the slide with Reem's email on the screen again if you would like to reach out. So let's see here. Any other questions? Sorry if this was already covered. Is there or will there be a comprehensive map for the new system? Online, I've found only maps for each jurisdiction in the DMV.
It's a great question. If you send me an email, I can get back to you, because we have comprehensive maps that we've like posted at bus bays, but I don't know if those are online. But if you need it, I can see if I can get that to you.
Okay. Any other questions? Any other questions, folks? We'll just give it another minute or so. Speak now or forever hold your peace. All right, seeing none, and it seems like folks are beginning to trickle out of the webinar, I believe we can call that a wrap. Again, thank you so much, Reem, for answering everyone's questions and for providing all this great information. Truly invaluable information to navigating these bus changes.
Thanks so much for the opportunity to be here. Really appreciate everyone's attention and questions. And thanks so much, Mark, for coordinating.
Of course. Well, thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of your day. This was another ATP webinar. Bye-bye.